Point number 3, Chris, are Graham Potter's days numbered at Chelsea? Let me ask you, have you seen enough to know Graham Potter's not the guy at Chelsea?
That he's not. I haven't seen enough either way, really. To be honest, at the moment, the jury's out on Potter. The thing is, we hear that he's got so many players. He's got too many players. He doesn't know his best team. Well, my feeling now is if you can't get a tune out of a squad that talented, pretty quickly there's something wrong with either the coach or the players or the chemistry or everything, and the longer it drags on of him switching players around, the worse it's going to get, because they're going to get fed up and not seeing any results. All of a sudden they're not starting again. And why we're not starting? Why am I not starting? We're not winning. And they're going to lose faith in Potter. He can only use this bedding in period for so long. So I personally think they'll give him till the end of the season, because there's no danger of him going down. There's no danger of them finishing top 4. Quite honestly, they've still got a shout in the Champions League. So there's no big harm can happen unless things all start falling apart. If he loses the changing room and just gets poisonous, then they'll make a change before the end of the season. But I think if it just continues the way it is, I think they'll stick with him and give him that time. But yeah, I mean, again, what the rest of the teams or 3/4 of the teams would do for that squad and the managers to have that problem, I mean, it's like Crimea River. You've got too many world-class players to deal with, so he needs to do something quickly.
Yeah, I think that I haven't seen enough to say that Graham Potter can't be a successful manager at Chelsea, but I don't know that matters, especially in this day and age, right? Guys get fired pretty quickly, and whether it's Potter's fault or not, it doesn't really matter if he's not the solution to the problem that they have. You have spent $600 million since last summer, and you're losing a lot. And you continue to lose, and you continue to draw teams that have a fourth of your payroll. And that can't happen. So for Potter, he either needs to win. I do think he probably has a month, right? And he needs to win more games than he loses or draws during that month to be able to show that he's turned this around, because ownership's already fallen on the sword one time, right? They spent a ton of money in the summer and said, we brought in the wrong players. Let's bring in new players during the January transfer window. They spent a record amount during the January transfer window. There's only one other person that you can look at, right, that you have to say is the problem. I do think there are guys that have played out of position for Chelsea because of the injuries that they've had. And I think that Potter has not been able to put his best 11 on the field right now, and especially for a consistent amount of time, have his best 11 out there. But at the end of the day, there are managers who can win with this current Chelsea squad. And if Graham Potter's not that manager, he has to be fired, whether I think he's a good manager or not. I know right now he's not getting the job done at Chelsea, and I think sooner rather than later he's going to have to be able to win.
And that's the key, whether he's a good manager or not. He's a good manager. He was a great manager at Brighton. He did a fantastic job there with what he had to work with nothing like the squad he's got now. So has he become a bad manager now because it's just a different environment for him, a different chemistry, and sometimes it just doesn't work. But like you say, it might not be his fault. And maybe he'll learn from it if things do go south and he gets fired. But like I say, he hasn't become a bad manager. Sometimes it just doesn't click. Or maybe it will. Maybe they just need another. They were unlucky not to win the other day when Souček made that diving save and no penalty was given, which was a stonewall penalty as far as I was concerned. But they just need some luck to go their way, and maybe all's good.
What do you think when you see things like if you see what's happening with Graham Potter and you see Gerrard go from Rangers to Villa and he can't win, you see Nuno go from Wolves to Spurs and he can't win. What's your read on that when you see these guys who at mid-table clubs or lower levels are able to dominate, and then they get to a big club and it just doesn't seem to resonate with star players?
Strange one, isn't it? The only thing I can think of is that it must be a psychological thing. Maybe the manager he doesn't come in confident enough. Maybe he's kind of resigned. He's not in awe, but maybe he knows that he's coming into a bigger club and it shows, and he doesn't realize it's showing. And as soon as you show that weakness in a dressing room, in a locker room with players, if they don't think that manager is confident enough or that he's doubting himself, then they'll be all over it. There was a story of David Moyes he was on a plane coming back from when he was Manchester United coach and things weren't going well, and he got a book out on the plane to read about management, how to become a better manager. Well, the players all saw it, and he never recovered from that, and so not the ideal thing to do. So they sniff that weakness, and if they don't, if they think the guy's not up to it, then the players will let him know, and the owners will know eventually.